Okay, let's jump right in. Look at this gray wolf from the northern Rockies. When these apex predators were first brought back to the wild, it sparked a huge, intense debate between conservationists and ranchers. But, it wasn't just a biological experiment. It was actually a massive mathematical one. The big question on everyone's mind was exactly how fast are these wolves going to multiply? And at what point does their population density become an actual threat?
So, welcome to this explainer, where we're going to dive deep into population ecology. We're going to uncover a pretty mind-blowing truth. The exact same mathematical rules that govern wildlife, yeah, they directly apply to the future of the human race, too. We'll explore how populations grow, how they hit their absolute natural limits, and, well, what happens when those boundaries are pushed right to the brink.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the nature of populations, the mathematics of multiplication, the limits to growth, strategies for survival, the human exception, and finally, our ecological footprint. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The nature of populations, from micro to macro. So, what is a population exactly? By definition, it's a group of interbreeding individuals occupying the same area at the same time. But let's be real, out in the wild, boundaries are rarely that neat and tidy. Think about those wolves in the Rockies or cougars in Southern California that literally need specific biological corridors just to avoid going extinct in these isolated patches. A population is super fluid. Animals immigrate, they emigrate, but at the end of the day, they are fundamentally bound by the physical space and the resources they inhabit.
Section 2. Mathematics of multiplication, the numbers game.
To actually track those fluid, real-world changes, ecologists have to rely on demography. Now, demography isn't just for human census data, right? It is literally the vital math of tracking birth rates, death rates, and age distributions across any species on Earth. By crunching these specific numbers, researchers figure out the net reproductive rate. Basically, that tells us if a species is poised to make a massive comeback or if it's about to spiral into a total menace.
Depending on the species, this population growth takes on different shapes. First, you've got geometric growth. This applies to your periodic breeders, like the Thule elk. They have very specific mating seasons, which results in this sort of staggered, step-like J-shaped curve over time. On the flip side, we have exponential growth. This happens with continuous breeders, like bacteria or, us humans. This results in a much steeper, rapid J-shaped curve. But here is the absolute golden rule for both of these models. They literally only happen when resources are practically limitless. Both of those models lead to explosive, rapid growth, which kind of brings up a startling historical question, doesn't it? What actually happens when this growth goes entirely unchecked? Like when a species suddenly finds itself in a brand new environment with zero natural predators and an all-you-can-eat buffet? Well, look no further than Thomas Austin's 1859 release of European rabbits in South Australia. Austin was an avid hunter, and he simply wanted, a couple dozen rabbits to hunt near his property. But here's the catch. Because these rabbits were continuous breeders, suddenly living in a predator-free paradise, their numbers didn't just grow. They absolutely skyrocketed along a classic exponential J-curve. What started as just 24 cute little rabbits exploded into literally one of the most destructive biological disasters in recorded history. It spread like wildfire. Section 3. The limits to growth. S-curves and biological reality. As crazy as the exponential J-curve is, it never lasts forever. It just can't. Eventually, the food runs out, the space gets way too crowded, and the predators finally catch up. And that is exactly where a much more realistic model takes over, called logistic growth. As resources dry up, the population is forced to stabilize at what ecologists call its carrying capacity, which is the absolute upper limit an environment can physically support. So instead of a J, the data forms an S-shaped curve. It just flattens right out as the population hits that invisible biological brick wall. Section 4. Strategies for survival. The biological continuum. Now, different species navigate these hard limits in radically different ways. Think of it like a continuum. On one extreme, we have the fast-growing R-selected species. Think weeds or insects. Their strategy? Bet absolutely everything on rapid reproduction. They have incredibly high growth rates, but the trade-off is short lifespans and pretty terrible competitive ability. On the other end of the spectrum are case-selected species like elephants or oak trees. They reproduce way more slowly, but they invest heavily in their offspring. This gives them a massive competitive edge in stable environments that are hovering right around their carrying capacity. Section 5. The human exception, from wildlife to us. All right, let's flip the mirror onto ourselves for a second, because just like those invasive Australian rabbits, human population growth has, so far, completely defied natural limits. We are tracing a steep exponential J-curve. For the vast majority of human history, our numbers grew really, really slowly. But then, boom, modern agriculture, advanced medicine, the Industrial Revolution, we systematically removed the natural boundaries that cap every other species. Technologically speaking, we've basically been continuously breeding as if our resources were infinite. As human populations industrialize, we see them shift through 4 distinct stages of what's called demographic transition. Stage 1, pre-industrial societies. You've got high birth rates and high death rates, so the population stays pretty stable. Then, stage 2 hits. Medical and agricultural leaps cause death rates to absolutely plummet, but birth rates stay high. This triggers a massive population explosion. By stage 3, societal shifts finally cause those birth rates to drop, and in stage 4, we reach a new modern equilibrium, low birth rates and low death rates. Honestly, our entire global future heavily depends on how smoothly developing nations can navigate through these exact stages.
Section 6. Our ecological footprint, the ultimate limit.
All of this massive growth brings us to a crucial concept: our ecological footprint. This is the amount of productive land actually required to support a single person. And wow, the global disparity here is just staggering. To put it in perspective, the US requires about 10 hectares to support one individual's lifestyle. Australia needs roughly 8. The world average is sitting right around 2.5, while a rapidly developing nation like India uses just 1 hectare per person. The math here is really sobering. Human impact isn't just a headcount. It's about exactly how much each and every one of us consumes. Because of this highly unsustainable consumption, the hard data points to a terrifying reality. Humanity as a whole has already overshot its available resources. Globally, we are currently operating in an ecological deficit. We are pushing way beyond the Earth's carrying capacity, basically burning through our biological capital far faster than the planet can ever regenerate it. Just like a deer population eating every last leaf in an isolated forest, we are putting immense, maybe irreversible, pressure on the exact systems that are keeping us alive. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Given the cold, hard mathematics of nature we've just looked at, can we intentionally adapt our strategy before the environment forces our hand? See, we are totally unique in the animal kingdom because we can actually study our own demographics. We can see the J-curve forming. We know exactly what a carrying capacity is. We can measure our own deficit. The ultimate question is whether we'll use this knowledge to sustainably manage our footprint, or if we're going to just sit back and let the ruthless math of population ecology make the final decision for us. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the numbers, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Stay tuned.